Hi, welcome back to Recap Pro. Today I'll explain a horror thriller movie called Truth or Dare. Spoilers alert. The movie begins at a party with a group of friends sharing a toast. Paul announces that he got a job, which seems to surprise Eleanor. She looks upset and Paul avoids her look. Their photos were taken with Eleanor looking at the camera sullenly. They start arguing, especially since Paul didn't tell her before. Gemma tells Eleanor to lighten up and points out that at least the job isn't in the US. Luke greets the group and Chris goes to ask him what he has for them. Luke notices Felix staring at Gemma. He approaches him and tells him that anything's possible, but Felix disagrees. Luke convinces Felix to snort up some cocaine to give him an extra confidence boost to approach Gemma. He asks her out and she invites him for a talk. She admits that she doesn't see him the way he does and lets him down easily. She encourages him to find someone else. Paul passes out drunk before he can be intimate with Eleanor, so she goes back down to the party, carrying wine, and announcing to the room who wants to join a little truth or dare game. During the game, Eleanor spins the bottle and it lands on Felix. She asks him truth or dare and he goes for truth. Eleanor asks him if he was given the pass and could choose any girl or guy to take upstairs for a quick encounter, who would he choose? He picks Gemma. Chris takes it as an offense and goes to taunt him. He punches Felix as the other guy pushes him aside in an attempt to stop him. Months after, we see Chris driving when Luke tells him that he went to McGinty and Gemma was there. He blames Felix for what happened and Luke asks him why they're heading for his birthday then. Chris laughs and says he doesn't know, maybe for the free drinks and the fun. Besides, he's rich and his father's a judge. Chris tells him that he hopes Gemma's there. Also on their ride to join Felix's birthday are Paul, Eleanor, and Gemma. Eleanor reads out the information she found about Felix's family. Gemma comments where the sudden obsession with money came from, especially when none of them were poor, but Paul tells her that Eleanor's father's company went bankrupt during the summer. Eleanor comments that money doesn't buy happiness and gives Felix as an example. The group arrives in front of a large, beautiful mansion that is eerily quiet despite the invite being for a party. Another vehicle arrives and they ask about the party, but the man tells them that the house is closed. Gemma introduces themselves as friends of Felix and tells the man that they were invited for his birthday. The man tells them that he's in the hut about 800 meters behind the mansion. They arrive and Justin meets them. He introduces himself as Felix's brother. He admits that Felix hasn't arrived yet from Chile, where he's been volunteering. The party was supposed to be a surprise, but his flight was cancelled. The boys are hanging out with Justin and they ask him what he does. He reveals that he's in the army. He goes to ask about the relationship of the boys with the girls, where Justin asks Chris if he's still with Gemma. He asks if he's interested and he denies it, claiming she's more of Felix's type. As the night goes on, Justin suggests that they play truth or dare. The bottle points to Eleanor and Justin asks her truth or dare. She goes for dare. Chris dares the girls to kiss with tongue, which they do. Justin spins the bottle again and this time it lands on Gemma. This time she goes for truth and Chris asks her if she'll take him back. The moment passes, so Justin spins the bottle again, but this time intentionally makes it stop to point at him. He tells them he chooses truth and reveals that Felix is not in Chile at all. Eleanor asks where he is then and Justin tells them he had committed suicide. He continues on to say that he was in Afghanistan amid sweat, blood, and fear, but gets home to his brother hanging from the ceiling. Paul asks him why the group was there and he answers that he needs to get to the bottom of it since the family's honor is at stake. Naturally, the group moves to leave. Chris tells Justin that it happens and it's tragic, but he shouldn't have brought them under a false story. He shows the group the postcard left in Felix's pocket. Truth or dare, bitch, was written on it. Chris goes to leave, but Justin tells him he's not finished. Chris says he is and tells him to get out of the way. Chris attempts to punch Justin, which he easily dodges. He grabs Chris's hand and hits him in the throat with his hand. Eleanor tries to hit him with a bottle, which he catches before backhanding her. He finally pulls out a gun he's been hiding and shoots Paul in the leg. He orders Luke to bring the chairs to him. Paul tries to call for help, but Justin catches him with his phone and shoots him on the hand this time. Justin continues ordering Luke around to help him, asking him to put the group's keys and phones in a toolbox under the table. When everybody except Luke's tied up, Justin tells the group that he just needs to know who sent the postcard and everything will be over. He tells them he'll give them time to talk about it and leaves. Outside, Justin confronts Luke and asks him if he sent the postcard or not. He denies it and says he barely knew the guy. He's only a drug dealer. Justin tells him that the group should be grateful for him because if he hadn't been cooperative, things could have been more complicated. Eleanor blames Chris for what's happening, reminding him that it was the last thing he said to Felix after punching him. Paul sides with Chris, believing him when he said that it wasn't him who sent the postcard. Chris continues to deny it and tells them he has no incentive to send the postcard. Gemma presses on Chris, believing that he sent it because of what happened with them. Paul tells them to stop fighting and just focus on how to escape. Justin tells them that if whoever sent the postcard admits to it, he'll let them go. But if no one does, they'll play truth or dare. He spins the bottle and it lands on Gemma. She goes for truth and he asks her who she thinks sent the postcard. She tells him she honestly doesn't know, so he backhands her and asks her again. She finally answers with Chris. He asks when the postcard was sent and where it was from. Justin tells him that it was on September 7th in London, and he tells them that he's been in Spain for 3 weeks during that time. He spins again and it lands on Chris, who chooses dare. Justin pulls out a card and tells them they're going to do an acid test. He forces a funnel on Gemma's mouth, then a tube. He has Chris choose between 2 containers. One has battery acid and the other tap water. Chris refuses. He tells him that Chris chooses, Gemma has a 50% chance of surviving. If Justin does, she won't. Chris goes for the left container, which Justin opens. It's tap water. The game continues. This time the bottle lands on Eleanor and she goes for truth. He asks her who should be questioned next. She decides that no one should, but he presses that one has to be chosen. She goes for Chris. Justin pushes the cart towards Chris. He looks at Justin and admits that he sent the postcard. He tells them that he wrote it before traveling and his mother sent it for him, just like Eleanor said he did. Justin apologizes and tells him that he believes his first story, so someone else would need to confess. As Justin prepares to do the acid test on Chris, Paul tries to provoke Justin by insulting Felix, telling him that Eleanor was orally pleasing him and Felix was standing by the door, watching them. He continues on to say that no one cares about Felix and only came for the free drinks. It's Paul's turn to choose left or right. He chooses left. It's battery acid and Chris starts choking on his own blood, then dies. Gemma insists that Felix wouldn't like what he was doing and would be against it. Justin agrees with Paul that Felix was closed and weird. But they come from the same lineage and weakness was not what he was made of. A man knocks on the door. It's Jonesy. Justin tells Luke to get rid of him. Tired of waiting, Justin steps outside and Jonesy immediately senses something weird going on. He tries to leave, but Justin invites him to join them. He goes to grab Jonesy and he's hit with pepper spray. As he recovers, he smashes his head against Jonesy, breaks his arm, and uses his pepper spray on him. Luke tries to beg for Jonesy's life. Justin gives him the gun and tells him he has a chance of saving Jonesy's life since there are only 3 bullets left. He can kill Jonesy or Justin, but he only gets one chance in this Russian roulette. Meanwhile, Paul, Gemma, and Eleanor are attempting to escape, with Gemma reaching the toolbox and grabbing a saw that she can use to free herself from her bind. Gemma escapes and goes to help Eleanor and Paul, but Eleanor tells her to run since there's no time. Jonesy begs them not to kill him, but Justin tells him that he shouldn't be begging him for his life. Justin gives him a countdown, and when he reaches 1, Luke pulls the trigger, killing Jonesy. Luke tries to give the gun back, but Justin refuses. He's panicking about someone finding out, but Justin assures him that the family's above the law. He considers Luke as part of the family now after killing Jonesy. Gemma reaches the mansion and enters inside, calling out for anyone. She enters a room and finds a paralyzed Felix lying on the bed. The man from earlier, Woodbridge, catches them and points his shotgun at Gemma. He tells her that he was the one who found Felix and would have been better to let him die. He lacked oxygen in his brain because of the rope. He thought Felix died, but he was only paralyzed. In their scuffle with the shotgun, it accidentally goes off, killing Woodbridge. As Eleanor's talking to Luke, she realizes that it was him who sent the postcard, which is why he's so desperate to get in Justin's good graces and refuses to help the group. He finally admits to it. At the mansion, Justin arrives and drags Gemma by the hair to Felix. He tells her that she did that it was his fault. Felix is on the bed. She denies it and tells him that Felix did it himself. Justin kills Gemma in front of Felix and taunts him with her dead body. Paul tells Luke that he's dying since he's shot and needs medical attention. He tries to give Paul a little bit of cocaine instead, but he refuses, so Eleanor asks him for it instead. When he goes to give her a snort, she bites his finger off. Luke grabs her head, but Eleanor releases her hand, grabs his injured hand, and slaps him. He tries to attack her, but she pushes him and he falls back, head hitting a metal spike and dying instantly. Eleanor and Paul try to escape when Justin arrives with Felix in a wheelchair. She shoots Justin on his left shoulder and he falls. Eleanor tries to shoot the last bullet but misses. Justin grabs her by the neck and starts choking her, but Paul crawls to stab him in the leg with a knife. He kicks Paul unconscious, but this is enough for Eleanor to recover and go for the container of battery acid, which she breaks on top of Justin's head. They tie Justin up and Eleanor tells Paul she wants a word with Felix. Paul tries to convince her to just leave, but she tells him no and helps him out of the shack. Eleanor goes to talk to the two brothers, blaming Justin for Felix's suicide attempt. She points out that Felix didn't try to commit suicide the night after the party but rather on the night Justin was about to come home. She asks Felix what scared him the most. Eleanor then tells the story of what happened the night of the party. It was supposed to be a prank. A lesson to teach Paul. When Eleanor's dad's company went bankrupt, she reached out to Felix to ask him to talk to his father and convince him to invest in Eleanor's father's company. She blackmailed him instead with a video she took of that night. It turns out she had forced Felix to orally pleasure Paul and filmed it. She shows the video to Justin before handing over a grenade to Felix with his finger on the pin. Justin, angry, tries to escape from his bind but Felix pulls the pin and the siblings die. The movie ends with Paul and Eleanor driving away. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.